CeeDee Lamb may be the most important player for the Dallas Cowboys this season. We're going to get into why I think he can have a breakout year and what that means for the Dallas Cowboys in 2022. If you are new here, consider subscribing and dropping a like on the video if you guys do enjoy it. We hit 4,000 subscribers a few days ago, so I want to thank you guys for that. With all that being said, let's hop into the video about CeeDee Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys had a pretty impressive season last year, going 12-5 and completely sweeping the NFC East, going 6-0, winning the division and having yet another home playoff game against the San Francisco 49ers. They did lose the game 17-23, and the Cowboys went home early once again in another disappointing fashion. This offseason, the front office has made a ton of changes to the team, and it really starts with the wide receiver position. The entire group has been overhauled from a season ago, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they perform with a completely new group this year. To start things off, the Cowboys traded away Amari Cooper and a 6th-round pick to the Cleveland Browns for a 2022 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick, and the Cowboys really hurt themselves in this situation. Early in the offseason, there was a lot of rumors that the Cowboys were going to cut Amari Cooper, but they were 100% not going to retain him, and I think that really hurt the team's leverage when trying to find a trade partner for him. But with every other front office knowing the Cowboys are going to get rid of him one way or the other, they couldn't get a huge haul for him. And if you really look back at the trade now and you look at the details after so many trades have already happened this offseason, it really was one of the worst moves any team made this year. Just a week ago, the Eagles traded former 1st-round pick Jalen Reagor to the Minnesota Vikings. The Eagles received a 7th-round pick and a conditional 4th-round pick that can become a 5th-round pick if he does not meet a statistical threshold set by the team. But my point here is Jalen Reagor is not even close to being on the same level as Amari Cooper. Although Cooper has been inconsistent throughout his career, he's still a top 20 receiver in the NFL, and he's a #1 wide receiver for many teams in the league. To only be able to get a 5th-round pick back for that is pretty astonishing to me. But regardless, that was all that the Cowboys could get back for Cooper, and the front office's focus shifted to the rest of the wide receiver room. Cooper wasn't the only starting wide receiver that the Cowboys lost from a season ago. Cedric Wilson signed with the Miami Dolphins on a 3-year, $22.8 million deal. Another player who was pretty valuable for the Cowboys throughout the season. Wilson was not a starter at the beginning of the year, but the Cowboys dealt with many injuries, and Wilson provided pretty good production when he was given that role, but the Cowboys decided to not bring him back. Instead, they decided to bring back Michael Gallup on a 5-year deal worth $62.5 million. Gallup has always had the potential to be a really good receiver at the NFL level. He's just struggled with injuries throughout his entire career, and it's really limited what he's been able to accomplish, and it's going to impact him early this year as well, as Gallup is still recovering from his torn ACL from a year ago, and it's still unclear if he's going to be able to suit up week 1 and be ready to play in a real NFL game. The new additions to the wide receiver room are highlighted by James Washington, the former Pittsburgh Steeler. The Cowboys signed him on a 1-year deal, but unfortunately Washington fractured his foot in training camp and will not be ready for the first several weeks of the season, so another target that will not be ready. In the draft, the Cowboys spent a 3rd-round pick on Jalen Tolbert out of South Alabama. He seemed to make some pretty good plays during training camp and preseason, but again, it's still unknown how good he's going to be right away in the NFL. It's a pretty big transition going from South Alabama to NFL talent, and I'll be very curious to see how quickly he can get things rolling at the next level. The Cowboys also brought in the USFL MVP, Kevontae Turpin, and he went viral for his 2 touchdowns on special teams, 1 kick return and 1 punt return in the preseason. He's going to be a very special returner for the Cowboys, but I'm really interested to see if he can contribute as a wide receiver as well. But as far as the revamped wide receiver room, that is pretty much what it's looking like. The one name that I have not mentioned yet is CeeDee Lamb, and he must take a huge step for the Cowboys this year if they're going to return to the playoffs and be a good team again this year. The Cowboys drafted Lamb number 17 overall in the 2020 draft, and he's been a pretty good player for them in his first 2 years. As a rookie, he got 74 passes for 935 yards and 5 touchdowns, and that was with Dak Prescott missing most of the season, so many people believed he was going to take a huge step last season, and he did take a step, but I don't think it was as big as many people thought it was going to be. He got 79 passes for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns, but now he's the vocal point of the Cowboys' offense. There's no Amari Cooper, there's no Cedric Wilson. He's going to have to emerge and be a true #1 wide receiver for the Cowboys this year, or their offense could have some trouble. I personally think CeeDee Lamb is ready for the challenge and is going to be a force this year for the Cowboys. We've seen him dating back all the way to his Oklahoma days. He's always been a really special talent, and we've seen the special traits that he showcased in college show up in the NFL. It's really just the consistency for CeeDee Lamb the first 2 years has not been as good as it should be, but I think this year with the team counting on him and CeeDee being thrusted into the #1 wide receiver receiver role, I think he's going to answer the call and have a really big year for the Cowboys, and they're definitely going to need it. Michael Gallup was asked about CeeDee Lamb, and he said he's built for it. He came in here making plays. Everybody knew about CeeDee Lamb before he even stepped on the field. And CeeDee Lamb was also asked about the number 1 wide receiver role and what that means for the attention the defenses will have on him. And he said, I'm kind of used to it. Obviously through college and all through high school, I'm used to the attention. For most of this offseason, CeeDee Lamb has looked really good for the Cowboys, and all signs are pointing to him having an impressive season. There was a little bit of a scare early in training camp when Lamb apparently got a cut on his foot that required stitches. He was asked about it, and he just told the reporters that it was a result of clown stuff. What does that mean? Well, I don't think anybody but CeeDee Lamb and the Dallas Cowboys know exactly what happened, but it does not seem to be a major concern, and he's going to be healthy and ready to go for week 1. The last point I want to touch on for the Cowboys' offense is their offensive line. They lost multiple pieces this offseason, and I'm going to be very curious to see how this unit continues to perform because it's been one of the best in the league for quite some time. Last year, Pro Football Focus rated it as the number 1 offensive line in the league, and you really couldn't find a hole on the line. But this offseason, the Cowboys cut Leo Collins, who ended up signing with the Cincinnati Bengals on a 3-year, $21 million deal. They let Connor Williams go, who signed a 2-year, $14 million deal with the Miami Dolphins. And just over a week ago, Tyron Smith tore his hamstring and will be out for multiple months. The earliest he'll be able to return is probably around December, but I think that's asking a lot for a 300-pound male to completely reattach his hamstring onto his leg and be able to perform at the NFL level in just a couple months. We'll have to see how his rehab goes, but I think there is a chance that he's going to completely miss every game this season. The Cowboys just recently signed Jason Peters, the 40-year-old left tackle, and I think if he's physically ready to play right away, he will be the starting left tackle for the Cowboys next week. If not their first-round pick this past year, Tyler Smith will slide in at left tackle, but he's still a pretty raw player. He led all of college football in holding penalties a season ago, so I do not know if the Cowboys want to rely on him to block for Dak Prescott's blind side to start the year. But if Peters is able to play at left tackle, Tyler Smith will then slide in at guard, or they still may elect to play Connor McGovern at left guard. And Terrence Steele, who the Cowboys are really high on and was really the reason why they felt Leo Collins was expendable, will slide in at right tackle, and you have a completely new duo of tackles. And I think that's a very scary thing for the Cowboys, but I do think it has a chance to work out just fine. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be traveling to Jerry's World next Sunday for Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys, a rematch of last year's fantastic game. But I'm going to be paying close attention to CeeDee Lamb and see how he performs in week number 1 against the Buccaneers. I think the Cowboys getting off to a fast start is very important, as now they have some real competition in the division with the Philadelphia Eagles really improving their roster this offseason. I think the NFC East is a 2-division race, and it's going to be between those 2 teams for who wins the division. There's not been a repeat winner in the NFC East since the Eagles back in 2001 to 2004, where they actually won it 4 years in a row. But the last 18 years, there has not been a repeat winner for the division. So if you are going by the history, I'd say that the Eagles will be winning the division this year, but I wouldn't count the Cowboys out just yet. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video if you guys did enjoy it. Let me know what you think of CeeDee Lamb and if he's going to emerge as a true number 1 wide receiver this year, or if you still have your doubts about him excelling in that role. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.